Pakistan's nuclear thresholds do not automatically shield its military infrastructure from conventional retaliation. In that sense, the Kirana Hill debate is not only about whether a site was stuck, but about redefining the credibility of deterrence narratives. The doctrine remains formally unchanged, but the grammar of deterrence may be undergoing a subtle shift from declared restraint to demonstrative reach. On this issue, I am joined by Air Commodore Dr. Ashwinder Singh Bahal and Major General Rajan Kochar. Your opening comments, Dr. Bahal.
First thing I would like to say is thank you very much for calling me with my esteemed co-panelist who's also there, Jai Hind. And, there are two things. What is the difference between doctrine and strategy? Doctrine means is the fundamental principles of utilizing whatever weapon systems or your tools of warfare are. So when you want to utilize a nuclear weapon, we have said our doctrine is no first use, no use against non-nuclear states. And in case we are attacked with nuclear weapons, then massive retaliation. So that is our nuclear doctrine. But strategy is how you utilize that weapon system actually. And that is where our former defense minister, when he says that in my mind, if there is a situation, it's also a tool of warfare. So, but I'm not saying our doctrine has changed, and our doctrine is pretty clear. The second part that I want to say is a very important thing is that there is no doubt in my mind that Indian Air Force is the strategic enforcer of peace, both in terms of having a long range precision capability, flexibly employed from anywhere from our islands as well as right up to Pakistan or China or any part of the Indian Ocean with the reach that we have today. And secondly, in terms of air defense, the Indian Air Force is the primary instrument which coordinates and integrates with the Army's air defense systems, but the primary responsibility for air defense lies with the Indian Air Force, and that is why we have the integrated air command and control system, which is linked with the Akash Tir of the Army, and multiple such systems all over the country are being linked, and I think majority of them have already been linked, with the result that we found that even when 600 drones came in, the weapon systems that were best in line were utilized, and we also created a world record by hitting at a high value asset at 314 kilometers with the help of S-400. So what I want to tell you is, yes, Indian Air Force is also one of the strategic enforcers of peace, as is the Indian Army and the Indian Navy.
Uh, General Kochar, there is a madman element which is built into the Pakistani nuclear doctrine, the threshold thing, that Pakistan is very unreliable, uncertain with the weapons they have in their possession. So, don't push them so far. The fallout or the analysis of the video that has been released and which clearly shows a half a second clip, that we are also calling off that element of madman doctrine which the Pakistan uses, that we are very unreliable, so logic will not work with us. So we have also called that second line of bluff.
Kartikeya, see, this is a very delicate issue and a very important issue to understand, that who will decide the threshold, because uh, in your opening remarks you made a mention that there are four conditions on which Pakistan
Yes.
will resort to the nuclear strike. uh, what is the threshold level? If it is a loss of territory, how much of loss of territory? And if it is a loss of combat formations of, or loss of a town or a city, who will decide that the red line has been crossed? So that is why there is a strategic ambiguity which has been built into the Pakistani nuclear doctrine, because they can justify the strike based on what they feel like. So that makes them a very irresponsible nation. And that is why I am of the very strong opinion that uh, a different point of views may be there, but I am of very strong opinion that we should not limit our doctrine to no first use, because uh, in the fog of war, exactly, the time which it would take to carry out your second strike and by the time you realize the enemy has launched its first nuclear strike, that time is very, very critical in this entire in this entire issue. So that is point number one. Point number two is to understand that there is a nuclear agreement which was, I think, signed on 1st January 1991. It was concluded sometime in December 1988 or something like that, but it got effective in 91, which clearly suggests that none of the two countries are going to strike at their nuclear facilities. As we saw that visual on the Kirana Hills, and point of the Indian Air Force is very, very valid to suggest that we don't know what is there. So we can't be blamed if a particular projectile or a bomb lands beyond Sargodha into some kind of a mountain which is called Kirana, because we are not aware what is inside that. And why I'm saying that.
Okay, let me then rephrase my question, sir. What sort of narrative does it say? It's a war of narratives. It's a. I know there are certain things which can be talked on TV. There are certain things which cannot be talked on TV. So let's talk what we can talk on TV. What message does it send? What narrative does it set for Bharat?
The narrative which is setting for Bharat, which we saw these strikes, is there is no place in Pakistan which Pakistan can feel that it's secure from the Indian strikes. So that actually amplifies is that previously in 71 war also we never hit these areas inside Punjab, inside the heartland, near Rawalpindi and all these areas. So this is the first time a strategic messaging has gone through, as per your question to me, that it tells Pakistan that there is no place now in Pakistan where the Pakistanis can hide themselves, and they can be targeted from the length and breadth of the country. Second important is, why I'm actually saying this is because of the technology we have today. Because in 71 or subsequently, we never had that kind of a technology that from within our own country we could strike any place in Pakistan, because unfortunately the geographical constitute of Pakistan is that it lacks strategic depth. So most of its air bases, formation, even if you take Baluchistan, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they can be addressed by the Indian Air Force, Indian missiles, and the might of the Indian Army. So I think that is a stronger message which is going to Pakistan today, and they're clearly rattled, because if I see those kind of papers written in Pakistan in their defense journal as well as in their Dawn newspaper, they've been unsettled by this kind of strike by India, because earlier they thought that India could not hit deep, but today, as Group Captain Bahl has said, that we have that kind of range. Even your S-400 could actually go to
Okay.
314 kilometers.
Okay. Dr. Bahal, in popular language, it is "ghar mein ghus ke marenge," but it is also about that the responsibility of restraint was always on India. If you looked at international narrative, कि Pakistan कुछ भी कर ले, India should show the restraint. It happened in Kargil also. So I think that narrative is also being broken.
Absolutely, and very importantly, we are sending a very clear message to Pakistan, like the general was also saying, that there is no place to hide. And when we talk of actually, if you just go, because after I was asked that I must come to this show, so I just went over what is given about Kirana Hills in the open domain. And you will be very surprised. Everything is given there, that there are 10 underground tunnels, and that it is reinforced concrete with steel, and there are 6 entrances, and there are more which are being developed, and that they carried out the tests sometime between 1983 to 1990. 24 subcritical tests were carried out besides the Chagai test which took place later. And Kushab heavy nuclear reactor is just about 75 kilometers from there. And this is 200 kilometers from Islamabad. And remember where the Indian Air Force hit. I must highlight this, that first we hit Noor Khan base. And other bases, I'm not going to name, you are aware of them. And the second base we hit, also important bases, we hit was Sargodha. Now, Noor Khan is very close to Islamabad. It is very close to Army, Navy, Air Force headquarters. It is very close to Strategic Plans Divisions. It's very close to Nuclear Command Authority. And as per one American writer, the Pakistanis were extremely scared that we destroy their Nuclear Command Authority. And the second thing, their Strategic Air Mobility Command is also at Noor Khan. The next important issue is Sargodha. Can you believe it's just 8 kilometers from Kirana Hills as the crow flies from the perimeter of Sargodha airfield, and it's southeast. And the bomb that you are showing exploding, it is actually very close to the number one entrance of the Kirana Hills. So if this video is correct, I'm not sure, because the Air Force has denied that any specific targeting was carried out and that we were not aiming or in any way interested in targeting the nuclear weapon systems. But the message is very clear to Pakistan that you cannot continue to blackmail us with this key. When you go to Tampa, you say we'll take half the world along with you. And now what happens in case we strike your nuclear weapons before you use them? Your own country will be destroyed. And if you remember, at that period of time, there was a flight a radar 24 flight data tracking report which said that American B-350 AMS aircraft, they even gave the tail number N111SZ, has overflown Kirana Hills to see if there is any radiological leaks or any nuclear leaks that have taken place. And they even carried boron, which is supposed to suppress nuclear radiations and supposed to absorb them. So now this is, again, it is speculative, A. And B, its authenticity has not been verified. I want to say that. But the fear factor that came in at that period of time when they were talking that Indian Air Force can go and hit at their nuclear weapons, which are nuclear arsenal that is stored over there, which can cause devastation, and that America was worried, is another thing that came out. So are these nuclear weapons Indian or American or what? So we don't know. Nobody, it's all speculation. But I want to highlight one thing with respect to all this. Do not take India for granted. Do not think your nuclear weapons are going to save you.
Absolutely.
That in case you continue with the way that you are doing and promoting, not just the Talibanis that are not going to leave you or the Baluchis that are not going to leave you, Indians will hit you where it hurts the maximum.